Awesome. So I gotta do these for my content, right? We've been trying to talk about a bunch of different relevant topics, and I was recording it on my camera with an SD card. I was trying to do it in 4K. With that, the 4K happened to go all the way to it took like 2 days to download, so it wasn't worth it. So now I was doing it privately. Now I'll just do it publicly and talk about some of the points that we're going to be pushing out on social media, what's going on in my business, and my view on a couple of different topics that are going on. The first one I feel like would be a good thing to talk about that is very, very controversial, and I posted about it on Facebook the other day, is money can't buy happiness. And yes, money can buy all of the happiness in the world. And let me explain why. I am openly always talking about how much money I want to make, what I want to do with my cash, and oh man, I want to buy a jet, right? And there's reasons behind me wanting to make money for everything. Now, when I say I want to buy a jet, I have a split family with a son, his amazing mother, and her boyfriend still live here in Fresno, and I don't even know if she wants to uproot her family, but my choice to live in two places is my choice. It should not affect their family. So number one, I'll start off by buying plane tickets that go back and forth, right? But then that's still a time constraint and adds extra time. I've moved on from driving, now it's flying, then it goes to flying first class, and it goes to flying private, then it goes just buy a plane. We're flying back and forth so much it doesn't matter. But me buying a jet buys me back a significant amount of time, and it keeps my family intact, right? I don't want to be a selfish person and take my son away from his mother or break up our family, create animosity. Might as well just think of a way I can solve that problem. So that is one of the big reasons I want to buy a jet, so I can buy back my time and keep my family there. But another reason I want money is so I can impact different things that I feel positive about, right? We donate tens of thousands of dollars a year to like Operation Underground Railroad, and that is a sex trafficking nonprofit. I feel so strongly about that whole monstrous problem in the world that I want to donate as much money as possible so we can make an impact there. Another reason I want to make a lot of money is so I can take care of everyone around me, right? And I'm not just talking about like my kids or my significant other. I'm talking about like my parents. If I can retire my parents, I can retire my sisters, I can retire everyone around me, and nobody has to work, and they get to do what they love no matter what. That makes me feel really happy, and guess what? That makes everyone around me really happy because they get to live the life they want, and I'm in control, and I can help them reach that, right? I can help them start a new business. I can help them do whatever they want if I have enough capital, like, on my hands that I can do. I want to take care of everyone, right? I want to retire my parents, so I want to be able to write a check. And I was talking to my mentor about this the other day. I was like, no, you need to be able to write a check for both of your parents for every day till they die. He's like, no, starting business with them or anything else, like, because I'm thinking about how can I want to supplement my parents' retirement as fast as possible. And I was thinking about, like, oh, I'll start a business with them, I'll do this, I'll do that. And he was like, no, fuck that. Do this one thing, take that income, and just write a check for your parents until they die. That buys me happiness. That buys me happiness because I know whenever I'm home, my parents get to spend time with us and it doesn't matter. I know that you're like, you know what, Mom and Dad, we're going to go to Japan for a month. I can pay for them to come with us and it's not that big of a deal. My parents get an amazing experience before they die, right? I'd say I have 30 to 50 years with them. My children get an amazing experience. I get an amazing experience. We get to experience the world. And yes, that does buy me happiness. And now I'm not saying that internal work doesn't need to be done, right? I'm always working on myself internally. I'd say I've struggled with depression my entire life, massive amounts of anxiety, but that's one thing, right? But like, given that is taken care of, right, and you're actively working on yourself, maybe you're taking some SSRIs, you're actively working on those things and making sure those things are taken care of. Now, what type of impact can I make in the world, right? I can make a big-ass impact with $500 million. I can make a massive impact. I can help tons of inner-city children from around the world with my money. I can help people in different countries with my money, right? I can do a lot of different things to where I remember when I was in college and I was talking to everybody else, and I was still talking about, like, I want to be rich, And the number one reason I want to be rich is so I could help out kids in the inner cities, right? To where I grew up in an amazing country ass environment to where I didn't see any poverty whatsoever. And then I get to college and I hear about the way some people grew up, the way my son's mother grew up, the way all these other people grow up. And this is like in fucking America, one of the greatest countries, the greatest country in the world. It is the greatest country in the world, right? And I see just these awful situations. The more money I have, the more people I can help, right? And helping people makes me happy. Like the more impact I can have on their lives, the more impact I can go talk to more kids. I can go show kids, hey, you can do whatever you want. I can go do all of those things. And what allows me to do that is by having enough money to where my lifestyle is supported. I can support my family's lifestyle. And all of that makes it go round. And so no, it's not being a filthy rich asshole. And yes, I do want to be filthy fucking rich. But with all of that, let's say, money comes an amazing opportunity to impact other people's lives. So next time before you start thinking like, oh, wow, that person makes a lot of money, they're an asshole, or money doesn't buy happiness, start to think about what you can do with the money that you have that will make you happy. And I'm not saying money's going to solve all your problems, but if I can afford to save my parents from cancer because I can just fork out enough cash to where the treatments don't matter, or HIV, or any other type of like random ass disease, and it's like, no, it's a part of it, we can do it. And I mean, if you think about Magic Johnson survived, has survived now to where when AIDS first came out, he had enough money to survive, and now he's good. To where, don't think of it as a negative thing. Think about money as, it's a tool, right? It buys me more options, it buys me more time, and it helps me make a bigger impact on those around me and the things I want to impact. All right, so that is the money buying happiness, right? And then I got a bunch of other topics that we're going to cover for this week. And like I said, this goes into our podcast. This goes out to all of our content channels, and it helps us really spread the word of what I'm trying to accomplish and what everyone else is trying to accomplish. All right. Oh, number one, beta testing. As we are rolling out new companies, new products, and everything else, one thing that I've liked to do and that has been done with me, and this is for you guys who are starting off small businesses, I like to say, hey, we're beta testing something. I'd love to give you access to it, be the first one, give you a discount. And that way, I get all of the feedback that I want, that I can make that product as good as possible, while someone else gets to feel amazing. Like, oh, wow, he trusts me to do this, he trusts me to do that. Because as you are rolling new things out, and this isn't really as much real estate based as it is small business entrepreneurship based, you're going to have so many fucking hiccups, to where we're having a ton of hiccups in our media company, and I'm beta testing with a couple friends, and it's amazing that I can do that. But make sure you are beta testing with all of your friends and family, and it's a win-win for everyone. Man, all right, I got another dark ass topic. Make sure you let your loved ones know how much you love them and reach out to them consistently. I would say over the last 3 years, I've had an immense amount of suicide in my life. We've lost a couple of people from COVID. One of my good friends growing up's little brother just died in a car crash, right? To where I feel like it's at least once a month someone who I know is dying, right? So I'd say over the last year and a half, I call my father every morning and I talk to my dad. I just got off the phone with my mom, and I still need to work on talking to all three of my sisters more. But generally, what I'm actively trying to do to make sure I let the people know I love them. And that's like the people around me, the people who are in my life, who I don't want to lose, right? Don't be jaded and like, oh, well, they didn't reach out to me, I'm never going to reach out to them, right? Whenever I'm in the car, if I don't have an audiobook I'm like trying to consume or a podcast, I'm going to make a phone call to someone that I love, right? I'd call my dad on the way to the gym in the morning, or I call my mom on my way home from work, right? I call them at 2 different times. Or I call one of my friends on my way home from work, right? And I have a list of my favorite people, and I try and touch them consistently, because I don't ever want to, it's a really big fear to lose someone, and then like you feel like, oh, you could have left something on the table, to where like my birth mother died, I'd say a year and a half after I met her, just out of the blue in her sleep. And I get a call from my sister bawling saying, hey, mom died. And she died in her sleep, and it was sudden, right? To where, like, you never know what's happening, you never what's going on, you never what is going to happen. So you have to make sure you're making an effort, right? Don't let your ego get in the way of other people not reaching out to you, right? And if it's a bad relationship, cut it off. And I'm not saying these people need to suck your time, but I call them in the car because it gives me a time frame to get it in. Let them know I love them. How's your week going? What are you doing? Do you need help with anything? Hey, you're awesome. I love your kids. I saw you on Instagram. Bam, there we go. And tied into that, I'm also always commenting on their social media. And the reason I'm doing that is just to let them know that I'm supporting what they're doing. I'm watching their family, right? Letting them know that I care. And that is a big thing for me, right? To where we have to let people know that we care in all aspects of our life, right? Like if your kids don't think you care about them, what happens? If your employees don't think you care about them, what happens? If your spouse doesn't think you care about them, what happens? Right? All of these different people in our lives, they don't see that you care about them, then that entire relationship is going to deteriorate. And so that is calling people on their birthdays. I try and FaceTime them, right? Just a quick 30-second FaceTime call to where that way they know I'm thinking about them. I won't delete. I get on Facebook every day so I can make sure I don't miss a goddamn birthday. It is like a thing I do, and I missed my best friend's birthday. And I was like, you son of a bitch, you're not on Facebook. To where that I rely on Facebook that heavy, and I try and get into it that much. But tying this all back in, please, 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 make a concerted effort to reach out to the people that you love, just for the fact that you never know what's going to happen. Over these last 2 years, like I said, it has been a wild ride of suicide and sporadic deaths in my life, to where like you just never know who's going to be gone. And the last thing I want to feel is that, oh wow, I neglected that person. Oh wow, I wasn't there enough. So there's that topic. Oh, all right. What I'm investing in currently, obviously e-commerce, Walmart automation. We just put in an offer on a $1.2 million storage deal, and I'll talk about that. But the next thing was crypto. You want to know why I invested in crypto? Because I went to a bank. I had to open up like 4 different bank accounts for one of our companies, and they wanted me to bring back my LLC documents, and I threw a bitch fit. And I was like, other people have to be going through this. I'm investing more in crypto. And that's that. Crypto, I think, should get rid of banks for most parts. To where I was talking to my partner today about, hey, can we just take crypto and only crypto for this one company? Do you think it'll go well? To where I don't want to deal with banks. I feel like other people deal that way. To where simple ass Stratton Brown, that is how he invests. All right. Oh, firing people. This is something that I ran into recently. Yes, I fire people. And I mean, firing people, half the time I want to cry. I remember when I fired my first person, I was distraught for like a week. I remember Alan told me I had to go let go of the first person in the call center. And boy, I was a mess. I just felt like shit, right? And then you get jaded to it, and you're just like, hey, this is the hard conversation we have to have. But don't be so eager to jump the gun in your company just to fire someone, right? And I was talking to our team about this today in one of our companies, to where like, hey, we don't need to fire someone. The number one thing we can't ever get from anyone is buy-in. So if this person is really bought in, that's a plus. And then if the person just doesn't have the right skill set, they're not excelling, let's see if we can put them in a different seat. And by no means am I saying let your company carry on dead weight. But I don't know, I'm such a big person on just, if they're bought into the company, they're bought into the core values, bro, find a fucking seat for them and let them excel, right? If you're generating enough revenue to where you have new opportunities coming up consistently, I think it's one of the best things you could do is just move that person around, because number one, you're caring for their family and everything else. But then, again, you're like, oh, wow, they didn't fire me. They kept me on and they put me in somewhere where I fit, to where that buy-in goes, like the buy-in's even more. And then, again, you aren't sit there with a hole in your companies, because the number one thing I've seen as we grow is it's hard to keep your core values and your company culture as good as it was as when it started, right? Because now, instead of 5 of us, and like that vibe is there, it is now a whole conglomerate of us, and we have to keep that same energy, because that energy is what's got us here, and that whole community vibe is what's going to propel us forward and separate us in the marketplace, separate us from other companies when we're hiring other people. And so that has been a really big deal for me. Next one. If you want to see holes in your company, travel for a week at a time. And a lot of people do this and like, oh no, I traveled for a month and my company still ran. And I am by no means there whatsoever. But the other weekend when I was in Salt Lake, and I still work when I travel, I went to a book writing conference, and it felt like my phone was going to melt, and I let so much shit slip through the cracks. And it made me realize, like, oh my God, that my company relies on me for this, 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 and this. Wow, we need to start hiring for that immediately because I don't have a life, right? Like, I can't step away for this amount of time to get this done, right? And as we, like, preach time freedom and everything else, I was like, oh my God, I have no time freedom. So one thing I'm trying to do less and more at the same time is I want to travel more when I can, but at the same time I want to travel less because it kills my momentum, right? To where and the reason it kills my momentum is because I lost work, right? And so I need to travel more to identify that, like, okay, things fell through here, 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 and here. All right, I need to delegate that immediately or I need to hire. Right, one of those two things, and that has helped me out a lot as far as seeing the bottlenecks in my companies of what I'm handling, what do we need to do more. And then I was talking to a client the other day about, like, I don't want to travel as much, and the reason I didn't want to travel is because I lost my momentum. And then I was like, well, why'd you lose your momentum? I feel like you're doing really good. And then at the same time, it's, well, you lost your momentum because you feel like you're letting too much shit slip through the cracks and you weren't working as much. To where, how can you do things that can be compressed in a certain amount of time to where you're never going to lose your momentum. So that is one thing that I'm actively working on. Next thing, and it goes back into travel. Don't get caught up in going to all these masterminds and blowing all of your cash on that and not having any cash left over for marketing or just not working. I see now that we have teams, right, and I talked about this earlier, I still have a lot of responsibilities in our company, but at least our teams can pick up most of the slack. But at a point in time, man, I was traveling and, like, nobody could pick up the slack, and that shit sucked, right? Because you lose all your momentum, and then you're still forking out cash to go to the next event, to go to the next mastermind, to where, man, it was a pain, right? So don't get too caught up in it. And this is coming from the person who goes to a lot of events, and I know what it's like, and I'm a mass, like, you need to go to as many events as possible, but again, be cognizant of where your cash is going and where your time is being spent. Fun tip. Read and listen to an audiobook at the same time at 2.3 speed. People ask me, like, how I can get through so many books at a time, and the reason I can do it is I will buy the book on Audible, and then I will buy the actual book, and I will listen to it, and I'll read it at the same time and take notes on my phone, whatever I can do, and it helps me comprehend a lot better and helps me read significantly faster, to where now at this point in time as an entrepreneur, I feel like everybody just has a time crunch, and if I can read, let's say, 2.5 times faster than the average human, and I can still digest it, and I probably do digest it a lot better because I got visual and audio taking in all that information, then I'm winning, right? It's those little things that are going to help you get ahead, to where if I ever stop reading, everything in my company stagnates, in all my companies. So, right, let's say I stop reading for one thing, and I try and read and, like, focus on a certain topic, whether it's marketing, business strategy, leadership, whatever it is, for, like, certain books at a time. And whenever I stop, I quit growing, and then our companies quit growing, right? I quit coming up with new ideas to push us forward, and then we quit making as much money and we lose momentum. So if the faster I can read, the more I can comprehend, and the more consistently I can do that, the more money I'm going to make. So I implement that in your business as soon as possible, right? Read and listen at the same time, and you are going to take your learning to the next level. Oh man, we got all sorts of shit. Doing shit that makes you scared. Now, the other day, this shit was real scary. This is the biggest offer Kalani and I this is the biggest offer I've ever put in, and I think for Kalani as well. We put in an offer on a $1.2 million storage facility, and I just looked at that letter of intent and my ass puckered. But 2 days before that, I was like, yeah, you gotta do shit that scares you. And it's been a while since I've done something that was that scary, right? To where I'm glad I did it. Now we're taking those next steps. But dude, that shit was scary. And the reason I want to talk about that, right, is because I don't want to be on social media saying, oh, nothing scares me. I have zero failures, this and that and this and that, to where I try and do shit that scares me a lot, and I fail every fucking day as a leader, as a father, as a significant other, as a business owner, as a marketer. Like, as all those things, I'm failing in so many different aspects of my life. To where I want to actively talk about them more, because I think with social media, and I talked about this on Facebook today, in social media, no one ever posts their losses. Like, ever. No one will ever post their losses. And I try to at least post like, oh man, we took an L here, I sucked here, I was shitty here, so people see that it's actually realistic. Like, nobody's just sitting there killing it every day, day in, day out, to where if they are, I'd love to meet them, but that's really just not how business or how life goes, right? You still have to have some lows to have some highs. Okay. Wow. I was watching shout out Michael Zuber. China wants to ban video games for people under the age of 18. This shit's bananas, right? This makes me feel so incredibly grateful that I was born in America. And I think video games are really good for children in, what's the word? Moderation. Right? It still teaches you problem solving. I played video games all the time as a kid. Like, I still play video games to unwind now, to I'll put in a podcast and play video games. But I don't think ever, if someone is mandating you to do anything, it's a good idea. Even if they say it's in your best interest, right? At that same time, you lose freedom. And this could take us down a whole nother route, and you guys know what I'm talking about. But I don't agree with this whatsoever. The other day, I was told by my good friend to never buy down rates, right? And the reason he was explaining this to me, he was like, well, yeah, you're going to buy down a rate. And what buying down a rate is, right? So you go and you get an investment loan, and they're like, hey, you can take your interest rate from 4% to 3% for 1 point. And a point is just a percentage of the loan. So if my loan is $100,000, it'd be 1% of that. That's how much it would cost me to buy down my rate. So with that, I would pay $1,000. I don't know math. I pay $1,000, and then my rate goes from 4 to 3. What he told me is the banks aren't stupid. To where generally, he said, if you're not going to hold the property or hold the loan for more than 13 years, don't do it. He said, just don't do it, because if you do the math, you end up losing money. Right? The banks aren't stupid. And it made me think, and I was like, wow, yeah. Number one, how long do you hold most of these loans as you're going? And it was an eye-opener, and this came from talking to someone who was watching mine and Mike's podcast, and then he asked me, hey, where did your friend buy a jet? And I was like, oh, hey, he went and bought it through here. And this leads me into a new topic, to where I'm going to keep preaching this and preaching this and preaching this. Everyone needs to be on social. This guy is one of the larger business owners in the Central Valley, Fresno area. He happened to be watching my podcast. I'm so grateful he was watching mine and Mike's podcast. And he asked me about the jet thing, and then I ended up talking to him later that day for a couple hours. And then he proceeds to drop so much knowledge, like an insane amount of knowledge on me about development, real estate, leadership, business building, scaling, how to fly private, when to fly private, like all these things, to where that conversation would have never happened if he didn't see me on social, right? To where I'm not saying go be flashy on social. You're going to build your own personal brand, but you do need to be on there, so at least people can be thinking about you, and it opens up more doors for you. Social's opened up so many different doors for me, from bringing people on my podcast, the networking. It is massive. And for those of you with a small business, get on TikTok. And I'll shout out another one. I met Leo, I think Leo's last name is Chun, at a book writing event in Salt Lake. What was it? Like a month ago. Leo posted one video that got him 7 million views on TikTok. And now he has 444,000 followers on TikTok. And my team will tag Leo in this when we turn this into a clip. And hopefully Leo shouts us out, right? But that's insane. Think about how many eyeballs you just gained if you were wearing a product you want to sell or a product you want to push, an affiliate, anything. And then now I have 444,000 followers. I can scale a business in an instant with that many followers, to where most of my friends who have scaled service-based businesses have a strong brand and a strong following. To where, okay, here's what we're doing. We can go through influencers. I am my own influencer, and they can push it out, and it is instantly profitable, and it's all free because your social is so big. To where I have cousins who are starting up certain businesses, and I press them every day. You gotta do, well, not every day, every time I see them, you gotta do social, you gotta do TikTok, you gotta post on social as much as possible because it's the best free advertising you could ever do. Let me see what we got here. And you guys, if you are watching, leave your comments below. I love to see them. Oh, here's my man, Cletus. What's going on, Cletus? Sean, money does buy happiness, just depends on how you use it. Human trafficking, helping other kids. And then what's going on, Bobby? I think it takes so much as far as money goes. Again, with what you can do with money, you can make such a massive impact on so many people's lives you care about and other people who nobody cares about them, and you can still pay. You can pay to change everything, right? To where the other day, and we're going back into the money thing, I was talking to one of my friends, and one of his friends is a pretty significantly large farmer, to where the government was threatening to separate him for a monopoly. And the way he got around it, he just found someone he really cared about, and he gifted them over 100 acres, and it was like or whatever, I think it was like 2% of his total business. He absolutely changed their life, gave them a blueprint to do that, and he was like, call it a day. That is the fun stuff you can do with money or with a good business. You can absolutely change people's lives. All right, now we got a couple trending topics we got to talk about. Is there anything I wish I would have done differently when I bought my first property? I would have screened the tenant better. Kyle and I have been going through this eviction for almost a year now of not getting paid and dealing with this fucking attorney, to where I wish I would have screened the tenant better. Screen them like your life depends on it, because it does. And that cash flow's nothing. Screen your tenants better when you buy your first property. All right, what else we got on here? What kind of deal would help with, what type of deal structure would help with people with low equity? Sub 2, right? That's how we bought our rentals. And I would say if you are looking to learn Sub 2, I learned from my friend Pace Morby. We'll tag him right here. Pace Morby is the creative financing wizard. Another friend of mine, Jeff Rappaport, is really good as well. But those two will teach you everything you need to know, and I think Pace has built a community that is unmatched as far as being able to do creative financing deals throughout the country with people who you can trust, because I think that is a massive, massive thing in business. How we raise capital for real estate deals. For me, number one, I brought on a partner who was comfortable raising capital, and that was one thing. And then number two, now I talk about real estate deals or what we're doing on social, and then people reach out to me, right? And I have a couple friends, and they just talk about what they're doing on social, and they say, that's how I raise all of my cash. People just reach out to me, we have a conversation, and then they start bringing them new opportunities that they have coming forward. But if you're just getting started, I would tell you friends and family first, and there's nothing wrong with asking, because it is a great opportunity and you're going to give them a return. Like, you're not begging for money. You're telling them, hey, I can take your money that's sitting here not making anything for you, and I can give you a 8% to a whatever percent return, right? You could offer them a 3, like offer them whatever you want, but you can make them money with their money. If they don't know how to make money with their money, guess what? You're a wizard, man. Like, you can give them an amazing opportunity to make more cash with their cash. Here we go. How do you qualify if a deal is worth pursuing? For me, it has to be, for in our real estate business, it's like, hey, how much of a spread are we going to make? If we're only going, and this sounds shitty of me, but if we're only going to make $1,000, we legitimately lost money doing a deal. So we don't want to do that. We want to focus on things that will generate a certain amount. And so for us, the number one thing is like, what spread are we going to make? We aim to make at least $20,000 per real estate deal. And that's awesome. And it depends on the market, what you're in, or like what the average is, but we shoot to try and make 20 on most things. Right? And so if it doesn't meet that criteria, then we're not going to pursue it. If you are newer, I'd tell you, make sure it's a legitimate deal, right? To where you could go to the Free Agent REI podcast with Dean Rogers, and Dean was trying to wholesale the Empire State Building. I'm not going to say yes or no, that was a bad idea, but it doesn't sound like the best idea to me, and that is my business partner and dear friend. How much money do I need to retire? For me, dude, I need a lot of money. I think you can retire off of, I mean, if you're comfortable living now and you do everything you want to, then I would just set that as your freedom number. And a freedom number is just like, hey, this is the amount of cash I need coming in so I can step away from whatever I'm doing forever. So that is the amount of money I'd say you'd need to have for retirement. You just need to know what that number is and be prepared for unexpected expenses, to where if you already set a freedom number, to me, that means you already know how to create passive income. Why not just double your freedom number and call it a day? That way, if anything bad happens, we're still safe. Okay. How to make $10,000 a month wholesaling real estate. Go down to the courthouse, get all the pre-foreclosures, go knock on all their doors until someone says yes, they want to sell. Post it in your local Facebook group or in your RIA and JV on it, and you'll make 10K. Super simple. Question: how do I deal with people who tell me I can't achieve what I want? And I feel like I talked this about a lot. You need, number one, you just got to cut them off. You cut them off until the point where you're at is, it doesn't matter what they say, right? Because like your energy's much higher than that, and you're just going to start to see that when people are telling you that, they're, number one, projecting on you, to where most good business people are just so insanely stubborn. People tell them, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, and they just say, no, fuck no, yes, I can, and they just go make it happen, right? So, and this never goes away. This never goes away, to where, we'll use the virtual assistant example, right? To where people at the beginning said you could never have a virtual assistant close a deal for you. Now people are using virtual assistants to run their entire company, and we have our company, both my companies are based with virtual assistants, right? And that's all 3 of them, 4 of them, right? So like you got all, and this is money being traded, like real businesses for the most part, right? To where, bro, like you never know what is possible, but I think anything's possible. Like if you really put your mind to it, I truly think anything's possible. And most of this journey is getting past all of those mental hoops and shitty mental barriers and limiting beliefs that you have to face. How do you focus on you every day? I'd say the number one way to focus on yourself, I meditate and I read. And I make sure I take 2 to 3 showers. 2 to 3 showers. And the showers are my me time, and I'd say that's where I get my best business ideas. All right, to where the other day I'm in the shower, my phone had died, and so I had to scream, Kalani! Say this, this, and this in your phone. Please write it down. But that's my me time, right? I relax. I think. That's my me time. My meditation, that's my me time. My mornings, that's my me time. Tor, if you can set those times there and like actually setting up a time just for you, like, hey, I focus on me, man. This is what I do. This is what makes me happy. Then you will be much, much better off. What do we got going on Facebook in here? Why is real estate investing the best thing to invest in? I think real estate investing is amazing. Again, we're doing this for content. This whole video will be cut up and edited and thrown out across all our platforms. Why is real estate the best investment? So I think business and real estate are both the same. Real estate at least is like the same widget over and over again. But for real estate, the depreciation and the tax benefits and the cash flow, like it's unmatched to where real estate is an amazing investment. If you know what you're doing, you're buying right. Which real estate app is the best? I love Zillow. I think Zillow is amazing. And then if you guys are paying for stuff, PropStream is really good. PropStream is, I think, the best like software out there as far as like real estate investing, single family, small multifamily goes, because you can get so much info on the homeowners and everything else. But Zillow, and shout out Jamil Damji, we'll tag Jamil in here. Zillow runs, Jamil does straight out of Compton like every Sunday or whatever with his assistant. And Jamil's company is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe. I looked it up. And he does it all off of Zillow. And they sell deals nationwide. They're moving a lot of deals, like a lot of deals to where, and their team uses Zillow. My friend Nick Perry, his team uses Zillow. Like, it's crazy. Zillow, I think, is a really, really underutilized app. I know a while ago they changed up like their API, but if you just go in there and you look at solds, and generally it's an amazing, amazing tool to use if you're just getting the real estate. That way you don't have to pay for anything. Which real estate to invest into? I'm on the Grant Cardone model, to where the bigger you can go, the better, right? If you can learn how to do it, maybe give up all the equity and just be a part of it and learn the entire process, I think that's an amazing way to do it. But I want at least a couple doors, to where that way if one person leaves, I'm not sitting there writing a check for the mortgage every month. Grant Cardone says like 16 units. I think that'd be awesome. I don't own 16 units, but for our storage stuff, we are going significantly bigger, just so we can overcome that mental hurdle and the cash flow is better. And if we're going to do a deal, we might as well do a deal that's worthwhile. Where is real estate cheap? Midwest and the South is where real estate is cheap, but you don't want it just because it's a cheap deal doesn't mean it's a good deal, right? If it's cheap and you buy it cheap, I've had houses in Alabama that they were cheap houses and the people would give them to us, but with all of the work that needed to go into them, it would be underwater, right? It just wouldn't be worth it, to where, yes, it's a cash on cash, but I'm more of a leveraged person and using debt, to where don't fall for it. Even if it is a cheap deal, is it a good deal? Does it give us a good return? When will the real estate bubble burst? Man, I don't know. I'm not one of these people who, I didn't even go through 2008. I've been hearing, I got into real estate in 2017, at the end of 2017, and they were telling me the market was going to crash. And then in 2019, Sam Zell sold everything he had, and he said the crash is coming. And then the coronavirus happened, and then we had all this stimulus and everything else, to where I have no idea what the hell is going to happen. You would think Afghanistan and everything that's going on over there, and with coronavirus, like we would see a decline in the economy. But again, I'm not an economist, so I wouldn't even know when the real estate market is going to crash. I tell you, if you keep buying great deals, you'll be fine. But don't be one of those fuckers who says, "Oh, I'm not going to invest in real estate till the market crashes," because you have lost out on amazing deals over the last 4 years, right? Because people have been saying that ever since I've been in it, like, "Oh, I'm not going to do it till the market crashes." To where I've had friends make millions and millions and millions of dollars over these last 4 years from buying in a market, and they just buy right in the right market. Well, in the market, period. Can real estate make you a billionaire? Yes. Go Google Sam Zell. Sam Zell is, I think he's the largest real estate billionaire. He owns a really, really large hedge fund, and he's the one who kind of made mobile home parks big. But real estate can for sure make you a billionaire. Can a real estate agent make you millions? Yes. Are real estate stocks a good investment? I don't think REITs are a very good investment. That's just my personal opinion. They're going to give you like a 4% yield to where you might as well find like you're just better off. There's someone in your circle who is investing in real estate to where you might as well invest with them. And if you're investing in a REIT at 4%, for most of us, 4% off of the amount of money we make as normal people is not that. It's not life-changing, right? And you don't get any of the tax benefits, I don't believe. But I would never invest in a REIT. Maybe I want to create a REIT at one point and I collect the great returns, but I would never invest in a REIT personally. Oh, why do we need to learn how to communicate? Communication is what is going to get you, and real estate is business, right? Real estate communication is going to get you the farthest in business compared to anybody else, like anything else. If you can communicate, you'll do fine. And communication goes into sales, into leadership. Really those two, like sales, leadership, marketing, right? If I can write good copy, that's still communicating with people. If I can sell good, that's still communicating with people. If I'm a good leader, that's still communicating with people. You need to be able to communicate if you really want to do anything in the business world. And this goes into, not everybody is Elon Musk and you just make it. And Elon Musk is an amazing marketer. I don't care what anybody says. But like, you can't just go create a product and then expect it to sell. If nobody knows it's good and you can't sell it and nobody knows what it is in the first place because you can't communicate it, then who cares? Like, your product's worthless and you're not going to make any cash, you're not going to impact any people, you're not going to help anyone because you couldn't communicate the right way. But communication is key. Marketing, leadership, sales, and I'm sure I'm missing something else, right? And even communication with my spouse, all of these things that are communication, like you need to have the better communicator you are, the more money you'll make and the better your life will be. I truly think that. If I can communicate as good as possible and relay my message and I don't fumble over my words, when I'm talking to someone, I accidentally say something, they get pissed off, right? It's always going to happen. But if I'm a great communicator, then I can avoid a lot of those mishaps. I know you've said something to your significant other that you didn't quite mean, but you said it wrong. If you were a better communicator, that wouldn't have happened. Who are people you should avoid in your life? Negative people. And this will be parents, this will be siblings, this will be best friends, this will be everyone, right? If people are negative, cut them out. You don't need them. Ever. Fuck them. Is the price of winning worth it and why? I truly think you need to set your personal boundaries up of, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice this in order to achieve this. Right? And for me, I know I'm not really willing to sacrifice having a good family life in order to make more money. Family, I'd say, is number one for me, and so I'm going to win it. I feel that I'm smart enough to figure out how to win at the level I want to win at while still keeping my family intact. Right? But winning is never worth it if you're sacrificing your non-negotiables. Right? And that may be ethics, that may be family, that may be like your leg, whatever it is, right? Whatever winning takes, right? Maybe you want to win so bad, I'll cut off both my legs, but I won, right? And I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan would do that to win the NBA, and his last NBA finals, right? Like, he's that intense. But I think the price of winning is worth it really all the time. But yeah, the price of winning is always worth it. But before you even go into this, right, you need to set your non-negotiables. And then just never budge on your non-negotiables, right? If someone said, hey, I'll give you $1 billion, but you got to give me your child, I'd be like, no, like, I don't need your $1 billion. That's a non-negotiable. And me getting $1 billion would be winning pretty big, right? But that's not worth it to me. I love my family. So know, and I love the relationships I can build and the time I can spend with them. So you need to know what your non-negotiables are before you really start, well, as you start going, right? And then that way, when you have your non-negotiables there, you can know, like, oh, winning's always worth it, and I'm always balls to the wall, but I know what my non-negotiables are, and I'm not sacrificing those things. Why do entrepreneurs need a lot of stamina? I think entrepreneurs need a ton of stamina because it is a long, long, long road, and you're gonna start to see, like, let's say you start to see a little bit of success, like with me, where I'm like, man, like I thought I was doing good, now I'm doing good, and then, but at the same time, as I say, okay, now I'm doing good, I get an even bigger vision of what's possible, and I need to have the stamina to reach that, and then at the beginning, you need to have the stamina just to break through the barrier of the shittiness of getting started in business, of the ups, the downs, most of the downs and the downs and the downs and the downs, and then we're up and we're going good, and then we're still going to have a down that's going to take us back down. Like, you got to have so much emotional stamina to take through it, be able to go reset, go on a walk, meditate, just go hug your kid for a day, right? You need to be able to handle, this entrepreneurship life is not for everybody. And so if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, you do need to have a lot of stamina so you can make it through all of those ups and downs that business brings you, and not only life. This question I thought was amazing is, does my significant other need to be on board in order for me to go into business? I think yes. If they're not on board, you either need to leave them or not go into business. And the reason I say that, and Kalani were talking about this the other day, you're fighting two fucking fronts, because, like, there's really only two aspects of my life, right? I have, like, my family, my friends, and then I have my business, right? But if my significant other's not on board and I'm fighting that battle all the time, that's miserable. I'm fighting that, and then I go in the business world and I'm getting my fucking face kicked in all the time. Like, when am I ever winning? When am I ever feeling good? And then you start to neglect your family, or you start to neglect your business because your family isn't happy. Like, there's all these dynamics to where you really need, if you are going to go into business, I truly believe your significant other needs to be on board. You need to have that hard conversation. And if they're not, like, you got to have a serious talk of, like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be an entrepreneur, because odds are you're going to get a divorce. To where a lot of entrepreneurs get a divorce because you get so tied up into the world and people don't know what the sacrifice is. Luckily for myself, I know my significant other's family is all entrepreneurs. My family's entrepreneurs, so, like, we know what the life is like, right? Like, what it takes to build something, and it's so much time and dedication. And fuck, Brad. It's fucking 7 o'clock, and I'm recording content in a studio with no one here, right? To where I know this eventually will build into my overall vision. But it's the conversation that I had with my significant other of, hey, this is what we're going to have to do in order to achieve what we want, and it'll be worth it in the long run. And we may lose it all at a point, but we both know we'll be able to build it back up again. But yeah, if your significant other is not on board, you honestly, I tell you not to do business, or be prepared to get a divorce. Why does money always flow to millionaires and billionaires? I truly think money flows to millionaires and billionaires, number one, because they help the most people and they give away the most money. The more money I give away, the more money I make, and the more people I help, the more money I make. And this doesn't mean I'm going out and I'm helping old ladies across the street, but if I could create a business that helps old ladies across the street and they feel safe and they get there in better shape, and, like, let's say, like, they get their hair washed, they get their toes done, all while they're crossing the street, that sounds like a business, but can they afford that and this and that? But I just helped that person solve a couple of their problems, right? To where they make that much money because someone sees the time value for them. Most of the businesses are solving a time issue or something similar, right? To where if I can solve people's problems, I will make more money. So the more problems I solve, the more money I make. And that is why all of the millionaires and billionaires get all the money, because they solve everyone else's problems. Generally. Some of the corrupted corporations create the problem and they still solve it. But they're still solving a problem. What advice would you give to a guy or girl fresh out of college? I would tell, I mean, it goes down two different roads. I think you could go travel for a long time. As long as you don't have kids, I think you could start entrepreneurship whenever you want and just hop in. Right? And the reason I say don't have kids, I think kids create a time constraint on a lot of people to where, and I don't think people talk about it enough, to where I'm constantly torn between my businesses and my family and balancing that out to where if I didn't, and this is 100% truth, right? If I didn't have my significant other and my kid, I would just be working all the time, and I'd probably wouldn't be as efficient, but I'd be just working and probably creating more, right? Because there's less things occupying my head. I'm not worried about being the best possible father. I'm not worried about being a good spouse. I'm not worried about being a good partner, right? Those things. But if you are a guy fresh out of college, man, or a guy or a girl fresh out of college, I'd tell you go travel. Go do it. Go do what you want. Go find out what you love to do. And I mean, still make money and like develop skills. But you can go bounce around quite a bit to where I just knew, for me, out of college, and like I dropped out of college, but I just had to make money so we could eat. So it was a completely different story. But like if you're a single guy, I mean, go do whatever the hell you want, dude. Go get a decent job and travel and work from home. And who am I, right? Because like one thing no one really ever tells you is like you got to know yourself. As we're getting out of college, man, we're just barely learning how to critically think. Shit. To where it's not a bad thing to know who you are at that age, and then once I know who I am, then I can start to decide what I want to do. But I don't think you should rush into anything. If you're pushed to rush into something, right, and like that's what you feel like you're called to do, that's one thing. But don't fall into the peer pressure of it. But at the same time, I am adamantly against the Gary V patience sentiment, where he says, just be patient, just be patient, just be patient. Never be patient, right? Like you can't ever be patient and understand that nothing will ever move as fast as you want it to. Even if you're absolutely destroying, it's still probably not moving as fast as you want it to. But don't ever be patient, because then I feel like you can get complacent. How can young men beat today's struggles? Man, it's hard as a young man now to stay focused and I mean, to beat the struggles, I'd say surround yourself with an amazing group of people. If you want to beat today's struggles, you just need to be with great people who are in the same mindset as you, and they're going to help talk you through all these situations, right? To where even now, the reason I'm in most of my masterminds, the reason I go to most of the events is so I can create more friends who can help me with my struggles and problems. So surround yourself with people who are in the same headspace and want to achieve what you want to achieve, and that's going to keep you on track and help you achieve what you want. How do successful people ask for help? I just ask. I send consistent text messages to people who I know what I need to know in a certain area. If I'm struggling in that area, to where I send out a message to my friend about, like, hey, I just read this book. You're the best marketer I know. I need to come up with 2 different offers for our companies. I need help. And it was that. And I paid the guy, right? But then I have other friends who I haven't paid, but they're my friends. And I'll still like, hey, I ran into this, like an attorney situation the other day. I shot my friend a text like, hey, what's your attorney's number? I need this problem solved like now. And he sent me that, right? Just ask for help. If you ever struggle, and ask the people who you know are qualified to help you for help. What is the secret to real estate investing? Consistently marketing. That's all. Consistently market. I promise you you'll close deals. And then we got one more. Oh, what's up, Dino? I see you, Dino. Last thing. How I got started in real estate. Let me do this real quick. How I got started in real estate. So I dropped out of college because we had Zeno and we didn't have a babysitter. We had no family or friends in Fresno who could really watch him. All of my friends were college students and they had their own shit to deal with. And I got a job at an investment company working for a good friend of mine. And I couldn't, and he said, yeah, bring your kid to work. And so I brought my kid to work with me consistently. And then I ended up helping with most of our marketing, with most of like our office management, acquisitions, and then eventually I broke off on my own. But I learned from him for like a year and a half, and then at that point, after that, I left him, proceeded to go dead broke again, and starved, sold everything I had just so we could like pay our bills and get money for marketing. And then from there, I started doing deals again, and then we went up and up and up. But yeah, I got into real estate because I had absolutely zero life skills after playing football, at least none that I knew how to monetize. And I knew I wanted to get into real estate because I thought I was going to be filthy rich in the NFL. I didn't get filthy rich in the NFL, and I didn't have any monetizable life skills, and I had someone who took a chance on me because I showed, work ethic. And I went out and I knocked doors for months at a time for pretty much nothing, right? I made like $1,500 a deal. And that is how I got into real estate. But all right, guys. That is all. All right, hell yeah. We got 56 minutes in. We'll be doing these every week, right? If you guys ever have questions that you want answered, send them to me. I'll answer them on here. But in all reality, this is so we can push out more content to all the different verticals that we're doing. And with this now, and if you guys are trying to get content done, the reason I'm doing this is because we can get good video quality by streaming it in the quality that we are. And then this will go uploaded into my YouTube page and another dummy page, and they can just download it automatically and cut it all up, and then we can go post it everywhere we want to. So if you are running into that issue of recording really high quality video and not being able to get it